Hey friends, it's May 22nd. I'm halfway into day 1 of 40 of my fast for Gaza. I'm joining Veterans for Peace, Friends of Sabeel, and many others across the United States in this communal fast to demand that UN-supervised humanitarian aid be allowed into Gaza and that the United States stop arming Israel now. In a nod to my Muslim siblings, I'm fasting from sunrise to sundown as part of my fast, so if you have any tips, please feel free. But why am I doing this? It's simple. I'm doing this to be annoying to those who may see us doing this, annoying to you, my community, so you may find encouragement to be more publicly and personally active, and annoying to me so that I do not get too caught up in my own normalcy of life that my own activism and advocacy becomes performative. And ultimately, I'm hoping that enough of us will be so annoying and active that there will be no choice than for change to take place. I have no delusions that this will be easy, but I also know that I have the privilege and resources to make sure that I can stay healthy. And this is a disruption in my life that is a chosen one, neither of which are the reality for Palestinians in Gaza. I'll be posting daily reflections and random thoughts, so would love for you to follow along. Peace. Hey friends, it's May 23rd and day 2 of 40 of my fast for Gaza, as I join many others across the United States in this communal action to demand that UN-supervised humanitarian aid be allowed into Gaza and that the United States stop arming Israel now. So today, I felt my first hunger pangs, and I was reminded that this is just a glimpse of what so many are experiencing worldwide, not because of their own choosing, but because of the consequences of others' actions and attitudes. There's starvation and hunger in too many parts of the world, but when it comes to Gaza, we know what could end it, but too many are choosing not to. The entry of humanitarian aid and an end to the military onslaught. While it does feel like some tides are turning in other countries, 18 months too late for far too many people, we must keep up the pressure in any way possible to make sure this ends. Thank you for doing your part. Again, I'll attempt to post daily reflections and thoughts, so I'd love for you to follow along on all the things. Peace. Hey friends, greeting from an airport. It's May 24th and day 3 of 40 of my fast for Gaza as I join others across the United States in this communal action to demand that UN-supervised humanitarian aid be allowed into Gaza and that the United States stop arming Israel now. Today I'm traveling back from a conference, and while navigating time zones and layovers, I'm acutely aware that my freedom of movement should not be taken lightly or for granted. While we are inching towards a society in the United States that will undoubtedly try to restrict even more of the movement of siblings who occupy bodies deemed unworthy and unwanted, I remember today those in occupied Palestine who have for generations been oppressed under a system of apartheid and restricted movement through systems of power and control, checkpoints, separation walls, permit systems, and intimidation. And when it comes to Gaza, an open-air prison where U.S.-backed Israel has complete control of borders and resources, Gazans have no ability to move freely and are now being starved to death. So yes, having to figure out the logistics of my chosen solidarity fast is inconvenient, but it's not life-threatening, and it's also the least I can do to continue to do something. Thanks for doing your part. Again, I'll attempt to post daily reflections, but please see the captions for links and info to join in and or support the movement. Peace. Hey friends, it's May 25th and day 4 in my 40-day fast for Gaza as I join others across the United States in a communal action to demand that UN-supervised humanitarian aid be allowed into Gaza and that the United States stop arming Israel now. Today I'm back home and I just finished preaching at a church in San Francisco. I don't usually wear a stole in the car, but I wanted to flex my keffiyeh stole. For those of you who do not know me, I've been an ordained minister in the Presbyterian Church USA for the past 30 years, serving churches in the San Francisco Bay Area and engaging with progressive Christians all across the country. One of the questions that people always ask me is why this Christian minister cares about Palestine in particular, when there are plenty of places to care about in the world where there is occupation, oppression, and genocide. First, our capacity for compassion, advocacy, and activism is not a zero-sum game. Committing energy to one place is not mutually exclusive from caring about another. That said, when it comes to the oppression and the occupation of Palestine and why I'm particularly passionate, not only are my tax dollars being disproportionately used to back the occupation, Christian Zionists have played a massive role in creating, perpetrating, and reinforcing a system of apartheid, forced displacement, and genocide. Christian Zionists believe in a prophecy that Jewish people must be destroyed or converted before the second coming of Christ can be manifest. These same Christian Zionists then continue to play a pivotal role in maintaining a system of oppression, expulsion, and genocide of Palestinians. Christian Zionists misrepresent and manipulate the version of God into one who justifies brutality, dehumanization, and hatred. Because these Christian Zionists profess the same faith as I do, I'm compelled and convicted to raise another version of the Christian faith, one that does not profess a God of oppression and separation, but proclaims a God of liberation and wholeness. I'm doing what I can with and within the communities of which I am a part, even communities with whom I vehemently disagree. I'm sure this is the same for many of you, so thank you for doing your part with and within the communities to which you belong. Again, I'll attempt to post daily reflections, but please see the caption for links and info to join, amplify, and support the 40-day fast for Gaza. Peace. Hey friends, it's May 26th and the day 5 in my 40-day fast for Gaza as I join others across the United States in a communal action to demand that UN-supervised humanitarian aid be allowed into Gaza and that the United States stop arming Israel now. Today was the first day that I have tried to exercise and work out during the 40-day fast, so I wanted to fill people in on how I am doing the fast. While some people are fasting on 250 calories per day, the estimated average calorie intake in Gaza, many are doing adjusted versions. Some are rotating days with the team, some are adjusting the time frame, and some, like myself, are doing a Ramadan version, fasting from sunrise to sundown. So I get up at 5 in the morning each morning to have a meal, and then I fast until about 8 o'clock each evening. I do drink clear liquids, and on days that I work out, I think I'm going to allow myself to take maybe a protein drink or something during the day. One of my friends in Palestine says to us, we don't want you to suffer for Palestine. We want you to be smart for Palestine. So not wanting to risk my health, but stay in solidarity, I'm making that one exception for my fast. And as much as this fast is about advocating for humanitarian aid and the end of military support, my 5 a.m. mornings have also become a personal spiritual discipline of commitment and a time for me to remember that so many are suffering because of the financial support of the United States, the silence of so many Christians, and the apathy of the world. If you'd like to keep up more with so many people who are engaging in the 40-day fast for Gaza, be sure to follow Friends of Sabeel North America, Veterans for Peace, and Service Members for Ceasefire. Again, we are all doing what we can, so thank you for doing your part. Again, I'll try to continue to post daily reflections, but please see the caption for links and info to join in, amplify, and support the 40-day fast for Gaza. Peace. Hey friends, it's May 27th and day 6 of my 40-day fast for Gaza as I join others to demand that UN-supervised humanitarian aid be allowed into Gaza and that the United States stop arming Israel. I'm recording this with 4 more hours to go until I break my fast for the day, and to be honest, I am getting hungry. While there's no real reason why I cannot just eat, I'm reminded that the reason I'm doing this fast is not a commitment in the abstract. Over a year ago, we were introduced to the Watsa family through the Gaza Solidarity Network. Not only have they provided us with first-hand witness to the military onslaught in Gaza, but they have also become family. We communicate on a regular basis, though we hold our breaths every time we do not hear from them for an extended period of time, and we share our mutual support and encouragement. Here's a quick video, thanks Abby, taken from some recent conversations. I'll be right back.
ممكن بشحنها تعال
And I'm back. Every time we hear from them and they share a little bit of what is going on, our spirits break open again and again. To see the destruction that our tax dollars supporting is heartbreaking and enraging. That said, we remain steadfast in our commitment and support even when it begins to feel hopeless, because it is the least we can do when so many are suffering, including our friends, the Wathas. So while not breaking fast early is a small thing, it is my personal reminder that I must continue to do what I can, where I can, when I can, and stay committed to the collective movement to stop the suffering. If you have the resources and would like to join us in supporting the Wathas, the GoFundMe link is in the captions. Again, I'll attempt to post daily reflections, but please see the caption for links and info to join in, amplify, and support the 40-day fast for Gaza. Thank you for doing your part. Peace. Hey friends, it's May 29th, and this is the reflection for days 7 and 8 of my 40-day fast for Gaza as I join others to demand that UN-supervised humanitarian aid be allowed into Gaza and that the United States stop arming Israel. I didn't have the bandwidth to record a reflection yesterday. There were work responsibilities, family events, administrative duties, writing projects, housework to do, and so many email threads. You know, the regular and everyday struggles of the day, balancing work, life, family, survival, health, and happiness. And while these are certainly valid stressors, not everyone is afforded this life, especially in Gaza and the occupied territories of Palestine. We have friends in Gaza who are letting us know about the struggles to buy food and feed their families. I have colleagues in Palestine who do their work and strive for normalcy with the generational backdrop of occupation, intimidation, and apartheid. And I've talked with Palestinian young people who would love to just have regular problems about school, work, love, and life, but are continually reminded that they live under the constant threat of administrative detention, unprovoked violence, and a stifled future. And more frustrating is that so many in the U.S. know what is going on, yet still refuse to speak publicly in any way against the genocide in Gaza, let alone apartheid in Palestine. It's enraging and it's disappointing. And yet, after a call this morning with a friend in Palestine, I was reminded that the Palestinian people in many ways are more liberated than so many of us, which frees them to speak out and advocate with more integrity than many of us because we have been occupied ourselves in what we do, how we act, and what we risk. We are captive to our own security, our own comfort, and our own lack of imagination for what could be. As my friend often reminds me, we in the United States are the ones who may be truly in need of liberation. Not only do I experience this as true, but that idea is both convicting and compelling. So I join with so many others, and I keep trying to live into liberation, and I'm grateful that so many of you are trying to. Again, I'll attempt to post daily reflections, but please see the caption for links and info to join in, to amplify and support the 40-day fast for Gaza. Peace. Hey friends, June 1st, and this is my reflection for days 9 through 11 of my 40-day fast for Gaza, as I join others to demand that UN-supervised humanitarian aid be allowed into Gaza and that the United States stop arming Israel. Two thoughts for today. First, this fasting from sunrise to sundown has done its job for me to keep Gaza at the forefront of my mind even more than before. Having to engage in the rhythms of life, family gatherings, and other activities while maintaining a discipline that needs constant explanation has forced me to not slip into a normalcy that justifies allowing Gaza to be deprioritized more than I probably would naturally. I'm sure this is what has experienced another fast, but this being my first one at 56, it has been enlightening. Second, much of the reason I have not done a daily reflection is that this weekend has been filled with extended family graduation activities. Such an exciting time for young people who mark these milestones to reflect on the work that they put in and to thank the communities, past, present, who have supported and championed them all along. Throughout this weekend, though, I could not help but think about the number of Gazan young people who will know no such educational milestones and life markers. The impunity of the genocide inflicted upon them has made sure of this. Their deaths come not because of a natural disaster or an unavoidable tragedy, but because of the actions of the Israeli government with full backing from the United States and tacit approval from much of the global community. If you have the gift of watching a loved one walk the stage, as each name is spoken, say a little prayer for the countless young people in Gaza whose names will never be spoken in the same way. It's a small thing to do in order to remember, but we must all keep doing something. Thank you for what you do as well. Again, I'll attempt to post daily reflections, but please see the caption for links and info to join in, amplify, and support the 40-day fast for Gaza. Peace. Hey friends, it's June 3rd, and this is my reflection for day 13, 1/3 of the way through my 40-day fast for Gaza, as I join others to demand that UN-supervised humanitarian aid be allowed into Gaza and the United States stop arming Israel. Today, I want to lift up a few organizations that you should follow, support, and amplify in general, but especially during this 40-day fast for Gaza. These are the groups that called me into the fast, have offered support, and are amplifying voices both at local sites and those of us dispersed around the world. If not for these groups and the people behind them who are helping to aggregate our voices, we would be that much more isolated in our collective effort to maintain our fast and do our part in bringing an end to the genocide in Gaza. So on Instagram, TikTok, and or YouTube, please follow the following organizations. These are ones that have offered me so much as I have stepped into this space of activism and advocacy. Veterans for Peace, Service Members for Ceasefire, Friends of Sabeel North America, and the Palestinian Justice Network of the Presbyterian Church USA. I know when I'm feeling isolated or ineffective, these groups remind me that all that I'm doing does make a difference, and I have to keep doing my best. At the end of the day, no matter how much influence we may have or think we have, Palestinian liberation will not be realized because of one voice or one organization, but because we have all lived out loud and boldly a commitment to collaboration and community. So thank you for doing your part. I'm grateful to be in this work with you. Again, I'll continue to attempt to post daily reflections, but please see the caption for links and info to join in, amplify, and support the 40-day fast for Gaza. Peace. Hey friends, it's June 8th and I'm coming to you from the 6th of 7 legs of the 22-mile Right to Return pilgrimage and day 18 of my 40-day fast for Gaza as I join others to demand that UN-supervised humanitarian aid be allowed into Gaza and the United States stop arming Israel. Sponsored by the Interfaith Movement for Human Integrity and the Interfaith for Ceasefire, close to 1,000 of us are on this Right to Return pilgrimage to advocate for the following: ending the genocide, ethnic cleansing, and torture of the Palestinian people in Gaza and the West Bank, the right to remain, the right to return, and the right to migrate, enduring and sustained ceasefire, U.S. arms embargo on Israel, immediate flow of food, water, fuel, and medical aid to Gaza and the West Bank, release of all hostages and political prisoners, and ending repression against students, faculty, and advocates for Palestinian freedom and justice. Here's a quick little view of the group. Sadly, this is the second year that we have held such a solidarity and awareness pilgrimage. While often the future can appear bleak, this will not deter us, but will act as a powerful truth and witness bear that there is liberation to be had through collective acts of collaboration, conviction, and community. Please take some time to click on the hashtags, visit and follow, and keep at it. I'm grateful for all that you have been and are and will be doing to see the end of the genocide in Gaza and the liberation of the Palestinian people. Again, I'll attempt to post daily reflections on the fast, but to be fair, I did say I would try and not promise. So please see in the caption for links and info to join in, amplify, and support the 40-day fast for Gaza. Peace. Hey friends, it's June 9th and day 19 of my 40-day fast for Gaza as I join others to demand that UN-supervised humanitarian aid be allowed into Gaza and the United States stop arming Israel. Now close to halfway through the 40-day fast, I have been acutely aware of one aspect that has helped me to be even more attuned to and connected to Gaza. If I had to lift up the most challenging part of this fast, it has been how disruptive it has been to my sleep patterns. Waking up at 5 a.m. every morning, combined with my ongoing fitness routines, attending family gatherings, taking part in communal actions, staying true to 16 hours of fasting each day, and trying to maintain some semblance of my work life, multiple and inconvenient power naps have been a daily necessity. While my productivity has certainly waned, every time I feel that dip in energy, it is a reminder of what it must be like to try and rest in body, mind, and soul with the constant sounds of bombings, drones, and chaos that have been battering Gazans every day for over 18 months. When our friends in Gaza say to us in a text, "We are tired of this world, we are really tired," there is a depth of weariness that is incomprehensible, and all the more reason for all of us to keep up the pressure, all the pressures. Every time we get an update, our hearts are broken open again. We do what we can, but at times it feels so much of our work is for nothing. And then our friends thank us for what we are doing. We receive the kindness, as friends do, but we also remind them that it is the least that we can do, and that many people are still trying to keep the genocide in Gaza in the public eye. So thank you for doing your part. What we do together matters. Again, I'll attempt to post daily reflections on the fast, but please see in the captions for the links and info to join in, amplify, and support the 40-day fast for Gaza. Peace. Hey friends, it's June 12th and day 22 in my 40-day fast for Gaza as I join others to demand that UN-supervised humanitarian aid be allowed into Gaza and the United States stop arming Israel. I'm coming to you from a hotel room on my way to do some teaching and retreating at a conference center in the mountains of Washington State. My spouse and I got up this morning, hopped in a rideshare, checked in our bags, walked through security, took our flight, grabbed our bags, rented a car, and here we are. Tomorrow we take a ferry to our destination, and then a week later we'll take the trip in reverse. While the situation around movement is certainly changing here in the U.S., during my travels I can almost guarantee that I will not be randomly stopped or harassed by military personnel, wannabe soldiers, or armed militia. My ID will not prohibit me from moving from one state, county, or city to another, and there will be no unexpected stoppages at random checkpoints meant to make my life as inconvenient as possible. The same cannot be said for our Palestinian siblings, whose freedom of movement is highly controlled, surveilled, and randomized in the Palestinian-occupied territories. Palestinians have to hold different permits and IDs to move or travel. They have to navigate checkpoints that could last for hours, and they must negotiate a system of governance that is set up to make life as a Palestinian unbearable. Oh, and then there's also the armed Israeli occupation forces and the armed settlers to deal with almost at every turn. In my travels to Palestine as an international, I only get a sliver of this life. So believe me when I say that to live generation after generation under this repression is incomprehensible for most of us. That said, the Palestinians I know, my friends and colleagues, are not going anywhere, and they will not be driven out. They have not only learned how to navigate the terrain of occupation, but they have found ways to thrive in the midst of a system that does everything in its power to kill their spirits and bodies. So yes, there are times when things will feel discouraging, and we must all take a rest when needed, but I follow the leads of my Palestinian friends. We must live joy and life even in systems that feed on despair and death, and we must keep vigilant in our work towards our collective liberation. For those of us living with the privileges of freedom of movement, it's the least we can do. What we do together matters, so thank you for all that you do. Again, I'll attempt to post daily reflections on the fast, but please see the captions for links and info to join in, amplify, and support the 40-day fast for Gaza. Peace. Hey friends, it's June 14th and day 24 in my 40-day fast for Gaza as I join others to demand that UN-supervised humanitarian aid be allowed into Gaza and the United States stop arming Israel. I'm coming to you from the North Cascade Mountains of Washington State near Lake Chelan, where I'm part of the Holden Village faculty for the week. This is a place that is well known to my Lutheran siblings, but it is my first time here. An old copper mining town and now a retreat center, it is surrounded by the beauty of creation and made up of people deeply committed to inclusion, justice, spirituality, and love. What a gift it is to be here. That said, it is a heavy day with political violence making the headlines in the U.S., hearing from friends in Palestine about the impact of Israeli attacks on Iran and Iran's response, and getting messages from our friends in Gaza who are facing starvation. Honestly, I am scared for so many in so many parts of the world, and it is difficult not to feel guilty about being in a pocket of such startling beauty. So many of us here are wishing that we could be back with so many of you who've been hitting the streets, taking part in the No Kings protests or engaging in direct action to protect our communities being attacked, kidnapped, and detained by the Immigration and Customs Enforcement. But even though we cannot participate in person, in addition to engaging in many healing conversations, many folks have joined me in the Fast for Gaza for a day and participated in a couple of Palestine teach-ins. We're doing what we can to be in solidarity with you and with all who are suffering under the weight of so much repression and violence. As I watch happenings from afar, I'm so grateful for so many of you there and here. I'm grateful for the beauty that surrounds me and lives within you. We must all do our part no matter where we may find ourselves at any particular time, so thank you for all that you do. Again, I'll attempt to post daily reflections on the fast, but please see the captions for the links and info to join in, amplify, and support the 40-day fast for Gaza. Peace. Hey friends, it's June 17th and day 28 in my 40-day fast for Gaza as I join others to demand that UN-supervised humanitarian aid be allowed into Gaza and the United States stop arming Israel. I'm still in the North Cascade Mountains of Washington State near Lake Chelan, where I am part of the Holden Village faculty for the week. It has been lovely and inspiring, but not conducive to uploading videos. Despite the U.S.-backed Israeli government using their unprovoked attack on Iran to distract us from the genocide and starvation that they are inflicting upon the people of Gaza, we must continue to remember that their actions are criminal, cruel, and inhumane. What is happening in Gaza must not be treated as an intellectual exercise that we can debate in a vacuum. So today, I'm sharing messages that we have received from our friends in Gaza. The Watfas are just one family in the entire population who have no idea if today will be their last. Here are just a few of our exchanges. If you are able to give to the Watfas or any other families, I encourage you to do so. There are huge commissions being taken, but any gesture of hope and any amount of money will help. Thank you for all that you already do. May our collective voices continue to make a difference. I'll be back soon, but until then, please see the captions for the links and info to join in, amplify, and support the 40-day fast for Gaza. Peace. Hey friends, it's June 23rd and day 33 in my 40-day fast for Gaza as I join others to demand that UN-supervised humanitarian aid be allowed into Gaza and the United States stop arming Israel. This past week has been a doozy. Not only have there been a bunch of personal things, but also the U.S. bombing of Iran, disappointing Supreme Court decisions, emboldened ICE criminality, and yes, the ongoing genocide in Gaza. My thoughts today surround how messaging plays a sinister, insidious, and dangerous role in destroying communities and justifying that destruction, especially when it comes to the actions of the U.S.-backed Israeli government in Gaza. I recently heard a story from a news source that I generally trust, reporting on the starvation and death in Gaza. Both headlines shared information about starvation and death as if it was some kind of natural disaster that just happened without anyone's control, when in reality the starvation and death are the direct results of U.S.-backed Israeli actions as they both initiated the killing and are causing the starvation. The headlines should be more clear and read, Israeli blockade of humanitarian aid causes mass starvation, and Israel kills people who are in line seeking food and aid. The reason these narratives that have been developed and bought into over the decades and over the past 18 months are so sinister, insidious, and dangerous is because they are meant to distance our responsibility as tax-paying American citizens. They give cover for those who want to stay silent under a facade of neutrality, and they allow those who are actually responsible for the starvation and death to escape accountability. So as you read the headlines, take a measured breath and see what message is being sent, who is being protected, and how they influence your own vocality or silence. Because once you notice, it becomes all that more obvious and enraging. Again, thank you for all that you are doing. Our collective resistance in all the places will make a difference. Only one more week to go, but I'll be back a few more times. Until then, please see the captions for the links and info to join in, amplify, and support the 40-day fast for Gaza. Peace. Hey friends, it's June 26th and day 36 in my 40-day fast for Gaza as I join others to demand that UN-supervised humanitarian aid be allowed into Gaza and the United States stop arming Israel. It's hard to believe, but there are only 4 days left until the end of the 40-day fast that will culminate in an action in Washington, D.C., organized by the Interfaith Action for Palestine to counter the annual summit of the Christians United for Israel, or CUFI, one of the largest Christian Zionist organizations in the United States. I'll be traveling, so I won't be there, but I hope for the safety and positive impact for all involved. I'll post one more final reflection at the end of the fast, but with only a few more days to go, I'm not going to lie, I'm looking forward to the end of the fast. A chosen inconvenience, but a disruptive one nonetheless. On July 1st, I will get back to my regular sleep patterns. We'll no longer have to think quite as much about activity and hydration, and I will get to have lunch. And this chosen inconvenience will be over. In no way am I making light of the discipline that nearly 1,000 of us took on to keep Gaza at the front of mind. But when I think about the level of energy it took to do this, it still pales in comparison to the occupation that Palestinians have been living under since before October 2023, that has only intensified since then. While Gaza was already an open-air prison before October, the level of control exerted over it has only increased. In a constant state of targeted genocide, unlike so many of us, the people of Gaza do not have the privilege of choice, they do not have freedom of movement, and they do not have the luxury of making plans from one day to the next. And most enraging is that this has been all manufactured by narratives that have been that have allowed the world to stand by while the U.S.-backed Israeli government has created and sustains its onslaught of violence, starvation, and inhumanity. The futility of war seems so clear. The loss of life, the political instability of the region, and the generational healing that will be needed by all involved. While the 40-day fast as a campaign will soon be over, the suffering of the people of Gaza will not be. It is all more important that we keep up the pressure wherever and whenever we can, that we do not let Gaza fade into the back end of the news cycle, and we continue to be publicly in solidarity with so many who feel as if the world has forgotten them. Whether fasting, protesting, letter writing, random conversations, or even visiting, thank you for all that you're doing. I choose to believe that it all makes a difference. Thank you for staying connected these past 36 days. I'll be back one more time with a wrap up. But until then, please see the captions for the links and info to join in, amplify, and support the 40-day fast for Gaza. Peace. Hey friends, coming to you from the Wichita airport on June 30th and the 40th and final day of my 40-day fast for Gaza. For the past 40 days, I have joined almost 1,000 others to demand that UN-supervised humanitarian aid be allowed into Gaza and the United States stop arming Israel. 40 days of fasting from sunrise to sundown has taught me many things. My body can fast. In fact, there came a point where my body felt good doing it. Disciplines by nature are disruptive and inconvenient, but this fast, as I hoped and planned, was a welcomed annoyance to me, my family, and everywhere I went when the sun was up. And in this particular fast, I was not alone. I knew that at any time, in various ways, hundreds of others were committed to this moment in time as a collective voice to keep up the pressures on our public servants and to keep visible the ongoing genocide in Gaza. While our demands about humanitarian aid and the U.S. arming of Israel have obviously not been met, every day, more cracks and fissures in the global support of U.S.-backed Israel make themselves known. It will take persistent and committed activism and advocacy on all of our parts to make sure we reach the tipping point to not only stop the genocide in Gaza, but also to seize the ongoing political, financial, and military support of Israel by the United States. So on this, I am also holding in prayer all of the friends and colleagues who will be in Washington, D.C. tomorrow to counter the presence of CUFI, Christians United for Israel, one of the largest Christian Zionist organizations in the United States. These public actions, even risking arrest, are vital to disrupting the status quo of support and neutrality that too many have adopted when it comes to what the Israeli government is doing in occupied Palestine. To those gathered and gathering in D.C., thank you. And finally, thanks to all the organizations that helped to organize the fast and supported me over the past 40 days. Veterans for Peace, Service Members for Ceasefire, Friends of Sabeel North America, and the Palestine Justice Network of the Presbyterian Church USA. Please give them all a follow on the socials. Thank you again. Keep up the pressure, and let's continue to fight for a free and liberated Palestine. Peace.